Why, hello, my fantastic friends. Welcome to the Coffee Run Live, albeit a very belated one, but the catastrophe is averted, which is absolutely, good, thank goodness. The cat is at the vet. You will be very pleased to know that he is now having some blood tests, and we will find out a little bit later on how he is going and what's actually going on. He's running a temperature and he's walking around being a bit listless and things like that. Really kind of curious. Hey, Sandy, isn't it interesting? It's like we're in the room and you know how some people you wonder whether or not they think, or you wonder if maybe they think you're making shit up? Because the cat seemed like by anybody else's measure might be fine, but he's just like, ugh. And his ears are really hot and they've been really cold, and he's just not behaving like our cat would normally behave. So we've gone in there and she's like, yeah, he's running a temperature. There might be an infection somewhere. Maybe we should just try and work out what's going on. Hey, Catherine. And I'm just like, yep, I agree with you wholeheartedly. There is something not right with this cat. Like, we just know. Funnily, my oldest daughter actually last night, like yesterday afternoon, actually, she's like, yeah, there's something not right. There's something not right. She knew before I'd kind of really been paying attention. But when we know when things aren't right? You just got to trust your instincts, trust your gut. And particularly, it's like with your children. If you know that something's wrong, then you just really got to make sure that you're honoring that and things like that. So there you go. That's the cat update. Hopefully we should know something in the next few hours. So that will be the thing that I will update you on later on. So what I wanted to talk with you about today is some things that I've been journaling about this morning, actually. Is I was kind of thinking, I was asking my journal, what needs to happen? What do I need to share? What do you guys really need to hear today? And it actually funnily ties into intuition. Yeah, exactly, Sandy. Kind of ties into this as well. And one of the things that I think that we're really good at doing is high achieving women in particular. Like it's mainly women that follow me and my stuff that tend to, go back and forth. I still have male clients and they're amazing and I freaking love them. But it tends to be women who work with me and who listen. And that's just, the way of the things, which is fine. So I think it's high achieving women we're dedicated, we're driven, we're motivated. We are really about making a big impact and things like this. Sometimes I know for me anyway, it can be really easy to kind of get caught up in the semantics of the day that has to happen, right? So what do I need to do? I've got my list of things that I need to do, and where things need to be put, where the message needs to get shared, how to make sure I'm logically ticking off the ones and zeros and doing the things that need to happen. This is that kind of like we're going through the motions. There are things that we need to do going through the motions, and there are some things that you have to do, that one must do in order to be successful. And I think there's a couple of things with this. Like we can often get caught up in all of this, and I'm not saying it's always a bad thing, but often it can be something that can shut off this conduit of amazingness that we have within us in order to be able to share the message. So I know for me, when I get pressured, or if I'm feeling a bit stressed, or if I'm feeling really anxious, I will tend to revert to my really safe zone, which is, all right, let's go look at the data. Let's go look at the things. How can I be very logical about things? That's kind of like the fail safe for me. And I know it probably is for a lot of you as well. And it's not a bad thing. And I built my business in the early years was really built on logic and on systems and things like that. But here's what can happen. If we've got to be really courageous, right? To kind of put some of that aside. Not always, not if you're feeling under pressure. I think if you're feeling under pressure, do the things that help you to move forward. But we want to be able to create the space for the message with capital letters to be able to actually come through. Now, the way that I first really was able to kind of go, oh, yes, and made sense to me, there are two things that happened. One, I studied to become a level 2 Reiki practitioner. Now, I've done a whole slew of energetic healing modality certifications over the years. So many, it's like my wall would be full if I was to have all of the certificates printed. It's insane. So what I did though in this Reiki training, and what I really liked about that was that it was really clearly explained that the healing or the way that we can help people isn't about me, right? It's not my hands on you or my hands over you that's doing the work. I'm just like a conduit, right? So it's like a hollow reed. Or like a piece of I think bamboo's hollow, isn't it? Right? So we've got this hollow reed that where the energy, if you like, depending on what you believe, the energy, in my opinion of the world, is like the energy kind of comes through and shoots out of my hands and in a really good way and does the work that needs to be done. It's not me that's doing it. It's almost like I'm borrowing or utilizing the energy and then channeling that in a certain area to help whoever it is that I'm helping. And I thought I really loved the way that was explained. It's almost like we're borrowing the energy, right? It's not mine that I'm giving to somebody else. I'm just the conduit, like the electricity cable. So that was one way. And then the other thing that I thought was really interesting and really, again, helped me to articulate some different things is to think about it in a slightly different way. You might have watched Elizabeth Gilbert's TED Talk where she talked about your elusive creative genius. If you haven't listened to that TED Talk of hers, make sure you go do it, because it really helped me to really kind of like understand how I work and where some of this stuff comes from. So the way that she explained it is a couple of different ways, which I loved, and it's how as creative people, now we're all creative, and I had a real problem with wrapping my head around this initially, because I'm like, wow, you know what, I'm not fucking creative. I just do some stuff and, you know, that's just what happens. I didn't feel like I was a creative person, because in my mind, the definition of creativity or the personification of creativity was when somebody would be an artist, you know, and draw or paint or sketch or be a really amazing graphic designer. I'm like, that is so not me. I do not have that gene. So in my mind, not creative back in the day. These days, I'm like, yes, I totally am creative, but in my way, in the way that I do things. So the thing that Elizabeth Gilbert was talking about was how the creativity, like creative people can sometimes get really scared and get really concerned or worried or slip into this land of fear where we're never going to have a creative idea again, right? Hands up if you've ever felt like this. I know this was me. Hey, Maria. I know that I've been in the past. It's like, oh my gosh, I've achieved so many different levels of success. What if it never happens again? What if I don't ever have another amazing blog post come to me? You know, what if I can't think of anything to freaking say? What if my best is behind me? She talks about the pressure of having a best-selling novel, which at the time was Eat, Pray, Love, and about how there was all of this self-imposed pressure. Hey, Catherine. On creating another book, and it's like, well, what if this next book is not a bestseller? What if this next book just, you know, falls flat on its face? And she was explaining how sometimes how a creative process can work when we're open to it. And one of the things that she talked about is she gave a couple of examples, is about how the genius can live in the wall. And how it's like this teasing of an idea almost that either comes to mind in one way, shape, or form or another, and you kind of need to grab the tail of this genius. And she talks about a bit like Dobby in Harry Potter. And you kind of like got to grab, not that he had a tail, I don't think, but you kind of got to grab the tail and hold on to this whisper of an idea before it, you know, runs off and goes visit somebody else. Another example that she gave is about a poet who would be, I mean, in my imagination, lived in a big farm, like cornfields is how I imagine it, or like wheat fields. And she's like walking through, and she says about how this poem can like sort of like ripple through the wind and come into her head and then almost leave her head, and about how she had to run to the farmhouse to try and get it all down before the poem had kind of like completely left her and then gone and visited someone else. And I think sometimes what we can get really, or if we haven't experienced the feeling of that intuition, that knowing, that idea, that creative goodness that can come through, the message that can come through us, that's where we tend to revert to the ones and zeros, right? It's where we tend to revert back to the structure, where we tend to revert back to, well, you know what, I haven't had an idea, so let's go back to the thing that I know that I can be 100% certain about, rather than sitting back a little bit, leaning back and trying to find the way that we can have these ideas come in through us and come into us. But then the next thing that you've got to do is make sure that you're actioning that. It's all well and good to capture these ideas and write them down perhaps, but if you don't honor that idea, if you don't then go and do something with it, if you don't then go and share that message, share that thing, and that might be writing a blog, it might be writing a post, it might be reaching out to someone who popped into your head while you were doing things, then that idea is going to go ripple off and go land in somebody else's brain as it drops in. You know, this is how the collective consciousness works, right? So I think one of the things that we've got to get really better at doing is working with this kind of like the dance between the structure and allowing the flow. So I remember in 2010, I trained to be a style and branding coach. And one of the things that we learned about was about, dressing and how you can dress in a way that makes you feel really good so that you present a great image to create a really amazing first impression. And that's actually the visual representation of you is how I started out in 2010. You know, how to brand yourself physically and things like that. And I remember learning about structure and flow in terms of fashion and style. And so if you think about it, like if you're really feminine and you wear a suit that is all sharp edges and very tailored, you're probably going to put it on and feel really like, kind of awkward and things like that. Whereas conversely, because it's all structure. Whereas if you go and put something on that is all very, very flowy, then you can end up having no shape at all because it's just all flow. So we've got to have a look at how we can bring in structure and flow in a way that is going to best work for you. And what's really cool about this, so, I use my journal every day to come up with what is the thing that I need to share with you. Sometimes it works and sometimes I just speak and the right thing comes out. The thing that came out of me today was going into chatting about how we actually do this, how we balance the structure and flow. And one of the things that I came up with was doing a $1 million planning session with you guys at the start of January, so the 9th of January, so that we can actually plot out and create the structure so that you can then dance and have that flow throughout with your creativity, with your programs, with your offers, with your marketing, with everything that you need to do, with your message over the course of 2020. So what I decided to do for birthday month, and I haven't done a program like this one day thing since the Kick-Ass Personal Branding course that I did at the start of last year, actually. So at the start of 2018. So this is a one-day masterclass. It's the 9th of January. There's going to be 5 people only, $497. It is a birthday blitz bonanza. And we are going to spend from 9:30 in the morning, Sydney time, till 4 p.m. Sydney time, planning out your 2020. Making sure that you've got everything there ready to go so that you've got that, so that you can create the space for the flow to also come in. So that is what we're doing. If you've got any questions on that, let me know. It will be recorded, of course, and you can access that recording at any point in time that you like. I suppose that the problem that this really solves is how people, we can get overwhelmed. right? If you're sitting there thinking, right, well, I don't know how to actually tap in and unleash this message, this will help you with that. Conversely, you might be somebody who's got all the flow but doesn't have any structure at all. So if you're looking for a bit of a safety net, and this is what I use structure for, if you're looking for a bit of a safety net, then this will give that to you. It's going to give you the structure so that you can then flow over and above that. I think it's really the key point that I wanted to make today, is that if you want to be able to grab the tail of that genius in the wall, if you want to really share from a place of being really powerful, not powerful in the sense of being like, rah, rah, I'm so powerful, but more powerful from the sense of, you know, being really aligned, feeling really magical, being able to, you know, get out there, say what needs to be said, and totally trusting that the things will come out of you in the way that they need to, whether it's as you're speaking, as you're writing, as you're dreaming, whatever it is and then that way you can get out there and use that for your message, then this is going to be the thing to help you. So happy birthday Eve to me. Guess what I got sent today? I got delivered a bottle of champagne from a gentleman by the name of Scott, who I've been working with this year, who's really helped me to he's helped me to get on television this year. He's helped me write all of it. Like, he hasn't helped me write all of these articles, but he's been helping me get in publications. I've written for OK Magazine that'll go out. OK Magazine, like the national magazine. I've just written a recent article for that. We've got Smart Company regularly. I've got Flying Solo regularly. We've got B&T, which is like a marketing publication. We've got that happening like on the regular. We've got Channel 9 wants me in January on TV, which is really exciting. What else? We've been on Koshi's, you know, in that constantly. It's been a really, really cool thing. So how nice is it to get presents? And I don't think he even knows that it's my birthday tomorrow. And then how's this? I wanted to share this with you. So yesterday I had coffee coaching with a client of mine who I've been working with for years. Actually, we've taken them from about 11 grand a year to averaging just below, I think we were, but just under 400,000 a year last year. So growing steadily every year, absolutely constant growth. It's really exciting. Bought me this beautiful candle. So for those of you that know me, know that I really, my goal is to live on the beach. I want to live at and on the beach. Hey, Kelsey, how are you? You confused me the other day. I think you've changed the name on Facebook, and I was like, is that Kelsey? Is that Kelsey? I don't know if that's a Kelsey I know. And then I checked yesterday, and it is, you are the person that I am, that I thought you were. you are my Kelsey. So like, I want to live by the beach, right? But for whatever reason, it just can't happen at the moment. So my beautiful client and friend bought me this. You can't smell it, but let me tell you, it's a tropical oasis, sand and driftwood at the beach. Really fitting, absolutely beautiful. But what blew me away was this card. And I thought that I would just share, like, this is something that, like, you can't buy this shit, right? So have a listen. She said, "Dear Nicola, wishing you a very special birthday filled with fun, naturally, lots of laughter and great memories. Thank you so much for your continued support of Jez, myself, and our business. Without you, I would have strangled Jeremy and the business would be bankrupt. Seriously though, we are so lucky to have such a wonderful mentor. You have changed our lives completely, and there aren't enough words to express how much we appreciate it and you. Not only that, but you're also a fantastic friend. Thank you for coming into our lives, waking us up, and believing in our potential when we couldn't see it. Love you long time, Kim and Jeremy." How beautiful is that? I think, you know, completely unexpected, completely, you know, I was going to say unwarranted, but that's not the right word. Unexpected, it very much moved me yesterday. And I think some of the things that we've really got to remember as being conduits of change, conduits of transformation, people that are helping move other people, is that sometimes we can forget or become a bit complacent with the magic that we do. right? It's easy to become a bit complacent with the thing, with the tool, with the modality, with the way that we do things, and the impact that we're able to have on people, and how you change people's lives, and we can take it for granted. And the thing that I want to just leave you with today is that you've got to remember that it's an absolute honor and a privilege to be able to do the work that we do. It is an absolute honor and a privilege to be able to work with people all around the world. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to it's like create the ripple effect, right? That's kind of like the image that I'm getting. It's like it's such a pleasure and an honor, and it also comes along with a deep sense of responsibility to be the person that is able to create this change. And I know that that's exactly what you do for your people too. So the best piece of advice that I can give you today is remember that you've got the message within, that you are the conduit for the magic, that everything that's there is, hey Ainsley, everything that you've got there is needed in this world. Your people need you. So get out there, go help some people, have a whole lot of fun doing it. The world is absolutely fucking ready for your brand of awesomeness. And I can't wait to talk to you tomorrow. I'd also love to welcome you in, like I said, to the $1 Million Planning Session for 2020. And I love you. Have a great and amazing day. And I will talk with you all tomorrow on my birthday. See you guys.